picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, welcome back to the never-ending saga, as I refer to it, of the Gundam. As you can tell, I've gotten a little bit of a haircut and things you don't care about. But let's get back to the Gundam now. I gotta tell you, it may look like I've not done a lot since the last time you saw it, but I have. I've been picking at it a little each day, neatening up some paint and trying to cover these panel lines. Things have been getting in the way. Things I find a little bit more interesting or more pressing. The weather is nice, so I'm doing some yard work, doing some spring cleaning, all that kind of stuff that you don't need to worry about. But today we are going to get a leg up on this Gundam, and I have armed myself with some good washes, and I think it's going to be awesome. Getting re-enthused is the important thing. Not taking the missteps to heart, and not beating myself up too much about it, but getting back on that horse and all those great motivational cliches. So what I'm going to do today is come up with a good old grunge wash. I've been trying to think of what look I'm trying to emulate, what is going to be the best look for this. And as it happens, over the weekend, television was running Pacific Rim for the 90 millionth time. I think it's on permanent rotation on TBS or TNT, one of those two. So I like the look of the Jaegers as far as they're dirty, they're grungy, they've got some scored where you can see the metal where the paint has chipped off, but they're used and almost abused. And I think that's the look I'm going to go for today, rather than the clean, flat colors of anime with, where you can see very, definite delineations of color and things like that. I'm going to use the base colors that I have, but I'm going to slap on a good old grunge coat and then go back in and start picking out some highlights of bare metal and getting lots of rust on there and things like that. So first thing to do is to whip up a good grunge coat. So let's do that. And here you can see, like I say, it doesn't look like it's changed much since the last time, but I have gone back in and painted in some details and basically cleaned up the colors that I'm going to use. And as much as I like taking this thing apart and putting it back together to make it easy to work on, I'm going to have to start gluing some stuff together forever and all times, and that is going to start with the head, because this annoying seam right here is about the last one that I really have to worry about. So I want to go ahead and put that together, sand it, maybe do some puttying on it. The more paint I put on this kit, the harder it is for the parts to go back together, because it's so well engineered that the tolerances between the pegs and the holes, for lack of a better term, does not allow for a lot of coats of paint. It's simple as that. So I've got to be more frugal with my paint coverage. I've had to actually sand down some pegs to get the paint off of them, to get them to fit back the way they were. So let's start with, the thing is, once I get a good recipe for the grunge wash, I need to make sure I have enough to do all of the real estate, because I don't want the one arm to not match the grunging on the other arm, or more importantly, I want both legs to match, things like that. So I'm going to whip up a good gallon, I guess, of this grunge paint and start to go into work on it. Granted, the table looks a bit like a mad scientist laboratory right now, but I think I've come up with something. I know I wanted to put a grunge coat on, and I was trying to figure which media would be the best. I got out the old Doc Martin watercolors. They beat it up too much, and that was because I had a semi-gloss coating on this, and to use that meant I would have to go back and respray everything with a flat coat, which is, frankly at this point, nah. So I was trying, different strengths, different dilutions, should I say, and none of that was giving me what I wanted. So I went to the old poly scales, and I made up a grunge coat of just some, grimy black and some brown, and mixed it up, diluted it a little bit, and the secret is getting it on and wiping it off pretty quick. But I think I gotta finish that what I'm calling the mud coat. This will be the mud coat, and then I'm going to do a coat that is or a pass that is the metal nicks and rust and stuff like that. But given the here are what the two arms look like next to each other. That's just the paint, and that's with the mud coat on there. And the mud coat is sinking into all of the details that I like without having to draw in specific lines. It is sinking into those, which is great. And here is one leg. Now the legs are going to get more damage and more mud than the arms are because the legs are walking through the mud. So and you're wading through things, and when you're this tall, you are going to be getting a lot more dirt on your feet. So the feet are going to be grunged up more than the arms, and so sort of like a level of grunge that starts at the feet and up to about the knees, and then another layer up to the waist, and then the higher you get, the less grunge there will be until you get to around the head, where you would assume you would get a lot of people aiming for you at your head, so you might get a lot more damage there. But this is going to be the grunge coat, the mud coat. Once the mud coat's on, then we do the rust coat, like I said, and then the mud, and then rust, and then would be the bare metal, picking out some stuff like that. And then there's going to be a battle damage coat of laser hits and explosions and things like that, which will show up more on the shoulder part and on the shield and things like that. They'll get that kind of aging. But I'm content with this, and I'm going to go ahead and continue since that's the look I very much want, without filling in all the little details. Then I'm going to carry that over to the other leg and do all of the parts while I still remember what my mixtures are. This is what that coat looks like on the chassis, or the blue parts. It ages that down, and it goes into the detail the way I like. So let me continue the grunging. Maybe I'll put on some Nirvana while I'm listening to this and other grunge music to get in the mood. It's Wednesday, and it's mail call day, and this came in my mail today. Now, a few weeks ago, when I was working on the Batgirl, a viewer named Fred Lewis, which you gotta love a guy with two first names. Fred had asked if I had ever planned on making this kit. Well, to tell you the truth, I hadn't back at the time, because I remember when it came out, it was kind of pricey. And I wasn't all that hot on doing resin kits of figures back at that time. But after having done the Batgirl and really enjoying it, there she is. After I really enjoyed that, his thoughts his comment made me rethink myself. So I went onto Cult TV Man, and lo and behold, Steve had it on sale. So price that was no longer an issue because the price had come down. So I'm going to give this a shot, and what I'm really looking forward to is lighting the lamp, lighting the helmet, lighting the inside. Taking the resin kit one step further than just doing it out of the box a la Batgirl. So let me open it up and show you what you get. I love these resin kits the way they come packaged. They are just packed within an inch of their life, custom cut foam. You can't beat it. And this little translucent baby is going to be the gem. This is what's made to be lit. It is the egg. Tiny sheet of decals to go on the suit, but look at the sculpt on that. The molding on it is flawless. So I'm looking forward to this. Now, I don't know exactly at what point. See, this is what goes inside the egg, but I don't know at what point I'm going to get to this. It'll be fairly soon. I just don't know, how soon. Somewhere between right away and next week. The one drawback, obviously, is that it does not look like John Hurt. And I understand that there's a whole likeness issue that you have to dance around when you are working on a kit like this. Now, I've got a couple of feelers out to see whether the aftermarket gods have provided the world with a more accurate John Hurt looking face. But until I get a response back from that, we're going to take this one as goes. And I'm going to have to dig out my old reference material to get all the colors for this suit. Now, I got to tell you, when I was a kid, when I was going to art school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Alien came out in 1979, and I was going to school at the same time, and it showed at the fabulous Warner Theater down in downtown Pittsburgh. With one of those big wraparound panoramic type of screens. One of the few old movie houses that still had those. But it was not unusual for, you know, starving artists and other art school students and other students at that time to, you know, you go to the movie and you sit there for maybe 2 or 3 shows. You know, you sit through and watch it again because especially on, well, they had what was called Dollar Wednesdays back in the day. Believe it or not, you could get into a movie for $1. So I would go and sit there and watch a movie 2 or 3 times going in on a Wednesday afternoon because, you know, if you have nothing else to do, it was cheap entertainment. So I have to tell you that Alien was the first movie, and I even came into it late. The first time I saw it, they had already landed on the planet. They were just landing, and they were getting ready to go outside. And so I didn't see the very, very beginning of the movie. But that movie scared the bejesus out of me so much that I couldn't sit through and watch it again. By the time that movie was over, I was emotionally wrecked. I could not sit and watch that again. So it was a little while before I could go back to the theater and sit it again. And this time, of course, you take friends and you know, wait for them to get scared, and then you grab them by the leg or whatever when the scary parts are coming up. So you get your fun that way. This is a very nice base. That's going to be a beauty of a base. I can see it being all blacks and greens and oily and stuff. So that's how much Alien affected me at the time. So the thing is, to go back and do this model now, I'm going to have to revisit my nightmare because I'm going to have to watch this scene a lot of times to get the right references. So that should be, maybe I'll be immune to it by the time we're done. I think that fits down inside there. That makes sense. I don't know if I'm going to use that or I'm going to paint this up like the chicken breast and just do the light of the chicken breast in there. So while I investigate this kit and finish gunging up the Gundam, I will say this is on the drawing board for the near future. I think it'll be a fun one. Okay, that's looking very good, but now I need to break it down and do the rust pass, which will be happening mostly in the elbows and knees and some at the waist and neck. So let's do that fun part now. Well, it looks like we've got a lot done today after weeks of stagnation and days of stagnation. Got the rust coat on now, and you can see I'm starting to play with rust on the surface as well as rust in the joints, like that. So I am going to let this sit, and then when I come back to it, probably either later today or tomorrow, it will be time for the chipping, which I'm not going to actually try to go in and chip paint. What I'm going to do is paint silver with a dry brush on the high spots to make it look like the paint has chipped off, things like that. And that will be it for today, I think. Well, it's Thursday, the gateway to the weekend, and work is continuing at a breakneck pace on the Gundam. And the reason the room is a bit disheveled today is because I'm getting AT&T fiber, not to give a promotion, because I don't know if it's going to work any better than what I've got now. But that's going to hopefully make the videos a little bit quicker to upload. So yay on that. Did a little bit work last night on the gun, trying to age it up and do some weathering and some tweaking on that. and working on the hoses today, making them look a little bit less like sausage. And we're going to put the head together today. I've had the eye of Sauron here drying all night. I painted that lens on the front a little bit deeper red so the light will be redder. And I was wanting to put a flat coat on this morning, but it is monsooning outside, even though I've got a nice AT&T repairman out. It is raining very off and on, so I can't, it's too humid outside to put a flat coat on, so we're going to see what I can get done without getting the flat coat on. But everything, in fact, is starting to be awesome on this kit. And there is the man himself, taking down some troublesome branches. Yay, finally get rid of those. That'll be nice. Well, gang, sorry to say I shot most of the day on Thursday, but it was for a very, very good cause. I will show you. This little monolith here is my new AT&T fiber router. I don't know how much things like that mean to y'all, but this means I won't have to wait overnight to upload my videos anymore. So, but unfortunately, the technician had to be in the room all day to do that, so couldn't very much be working on the robot at the same time, or on the Zaku. I did out in the other room take care of this little project. Kind gentleman sent me his Proteus because he wanted me to open it up for him, and which I was happy to do and will do for a small monetary remuneration. But I thought he might like to see this is how it came out. Very clean. The more I do this, the easier it goes. And here is the extra bit in case you thought maybe I had to do something more drastic, but no. I'm going to sand this bit a little here and then put a strip there for this to rest on when it is closed. But you can see it doesn't really need any magnets. So hey, if you would like to get your Proteus opened up by a semi-professional, give me a jingle at my email address, and I'll be happy to do the same for you. Reasonable rates to apply. But yeah, that came out real nice. Real nice. But back to him. And the foul weather seems to have moved through, and the sun is out again. So, well, you can really see how that... See, that's the kind of detail, that's the kind of dirt and grime and rust I was wanting to put on there. So, imperfection is good. Well, good morning. It's Friday, and I have decided it's decal day, rather arbitrarily, because any damage I do in the future to this guy, score marks and metal flakes and stuff like that, really need to be over the decal layer. And I probably could have put the decals on before I put this, mud layer on. But if I had done that, I would have had to have put a gloss coat on, and then the mud might not have stuck to it the way I wanted to, without putting another flat coat on between, and it's just a mess. So I've decided to put a gloss coat on it now, which was not easy because this morning it has been windier than a baked bean convention outside. So now it's the gloss coat's had a time to dry, and I'm going to put the decals on so that I can flat coat and damage over top of that. So I've looked at the instructions, I've poo-pooed some of them, I have pooed only some of them, and using this as a guide as to where the decals need to go. I'm not going to be using all of them because obviously I have painted my own shield design. So let's start putting some decals on. Well, good afternoon. I am back from my lunch, and the decals have had a couple of hours to dry and set up. So what I'm going to try to do is whisk this youngster outside and get a coat of flat on him to seal all of the decals in, and then I shall be able to commence with more aging and stuff. So let me see how easy that's going to be. But the decals are making all the difference. Just a bunch of little bits of text. But yeah, they're showing up nice. Okay, the The liberal dosing of flat finish has gone on and it's dried in nicely, and the decal film has disappeared around the decal. So now I figured it was a good time to wire in the battery and the switch, and luckily the battery holder fits perfectly right inside that little piece there. I just need to nibble out some of this area behind this piece that is covered up by 3 other pieces, so you'll never miss it. So let me get my implements of destruction out. Okay, I'm doing all this wiring, and probably the worst thing that could happen has happened. As with the rest of this project. While I was at it, I decided to throw in a couple more lights here. And I got the nice little switch here doing its thing. But in the course of all of this, I have broken a wire that goes up to the eyeball. The main light, the whole reason for this to exist in the first place. And that light is out. And unfortunately, it's not only glued together, but it's packed into a bunch of epoxy putty. So I am going to try to see if I can troubleshoot where the break is. I'm going to cut the wires here before it goes into the head and run a power source to that. And if that works without if that works, then I know I don't have to crack the head open. If that doesn't work, then I know I've got bigger problems. Well, looks like I gotta do more brain surgery. Gotta crack into this. Let this be a lesson to you. These magnet wire lights are very finicky. I was being very cautious about not bending them too many times because I've heard stories of them breaking, and I'm afraid that must have been what happened. So I gotta, and I gotta tell you, I spent a lot of yesterday sealing that up and pouring glue over it. So it's going to be some brain surgery, that's for sure. And I'm probably going to replace it, not with one of these, but maybe a 3mm red to get away from having to use that thin wire. So the hour's getting late, but I think I've got it figured out. Combination of a really weak battery plus a broken wire. It just wasn't giving me the juice to go to all 3 bulbs. But now when I hit this switch, I've got these 2 and I've got that. And I wanted to make sure to leave that on while I am rebuilding the head, just so that I know at what point it stops working. And I got the head back together, yay! And I got the light lighting up, yay! And instead of putting a red light in there, I put a blue light behind there, and it actually gives me a nice purple glow behind the red lens there. I kind of like that a lot better. But this is where we are going to leave our friend for this week. Oh, let me turn around and put the show you the thrusters at the back. Yes, very nice. All decaled and wired up. And that's where we're going to finish off for this week. It was a slow start, but it came to a boiling finish. Very happy with the progress on the Gundam for this week. Now, I have to tell you that the wiring, adding the additional lights in the back, plus having to yank out that eye light and replace it, did eat into the time that I had to do the final streaking and metal weathering. I can do that next week, no problem. And that's what we'll do next week. I didn't want to rush it so that I could have something to say it was finished this week. I'm this close. So, but also, I got the good flat finish on it before all of the wiring fiasco happened. So, now all that's left is to put the glossy stuff on, the grease and the grime runs, and the metal highlighting, that kind of stuff. That would have been ruined underneath the flat coat anyway. So flat coat's on, let this sit all weekend, come back to it Monday, finish doing the weathering on it. Another thing I did not get a chance to finish up was the weapons. Now the gun is mostly done, but the hand is not. So until I can finish the gun and the axe, I can't really say the whole thing is finished, but it's rounding that last corner. It's getting ready to be finished, which clears the decks and lets us think about the next project. And since the etch for the Proteus is taking a little bit of time, maybe I'll have time to slide Kane in ahead of that, doing the lighting on this, reigniting my Joneses for doing some of the lighting on the Kane figure, which will all be done with that tiny chip lights. So that'll be fun, and then paint the figure. So that's what we're going to start on next week. So until next week, when we start raising Kane, yes, it's an old joke, get used to it. I'll probably use it a lot. Until next week, be good to each other, and have some fun out there, why don't you?